You're fine. At least that's what everyone thinks. You show up, you get things done, you hold it together. From the outside, you probably look like one of the more put-together people in the room. But on the inside, there's a constant hum, a low-level noise that never quite switches off, a running commentary of what could go wrong, what you might have forgotten, what people might be thinking, what's coming next. You've probably never described yourself as anxious, because anxious people can't function, right? They cancel plans and have panic attacks and can't leave the house. That's not you. You function. You function extremely well, actually. But functioning well and feeling well are not the same thing. And high-functioning anxiety is one of the most common and most overlooked psychological patterns in modern life, precisely because the people who have it are so good at hiding it, even from themselves. Here are 7 signs that what you're experiencing might not just be being driven or caring about things, but something worth paying closer attention to. High-functioning anxiety isn't an official clinical diagnosis. You won't find it in the psychology textbooks under that name. What it describes is a pattern. People who experience significant anxiety, but whose coping mechanisms are so effective that the anxiety doesn't visibly impair their life. In fact, it often looks like success from the outside. The anxiety drives them. The productivity, the over-preparation, the people-pleasing, the perfectionism, these are all strategies the anxious brain has developed to manage the constant underlying sense that something is wrong or about to go wrong. It works until it doesn't, and understanding the pattern is the first step to actually addressing it rather than just managing it forever. So, here are the 7 signs. First, you're a chronic overthinker, especially at night. Your brain doesn't have an off switch. The moment external demands stop, the moment you lie down, or sit in silence, or have nothing to focus on, your mind fills the space with thoughts, replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, planning tomorrow in exhausting detail, running through worst-case scenarios for things that may never happen. This isn't deep thinking or careful planning. It's your nervous system, unable to downregulate, filling the quiet with noise because stillness feels unsafe. The anxious brain interprets rest as a threat, like letting your guard down. So it keeps scanning, even when there's nothing to scan for. Second, you seek constant reassurance. You ask if things are okay. You check in again after you've already checked in. You send the message and then replay it, wondering if it came across wrong. You need to know the plan is confirmed, the person isn't upset, and the situation is under control. And here's the painful part. Even when you get the reassurance, it only helps for a short while. Because the anxiety isn't coming from the external situation, it's coming from inside. So no amount of external confirmation permanently quiets it. The relief is real but temporary, and the cycle starts again. Third, you over-prepare for everything. If you can't leave the house without checking the door twice, arrive everywhere early because being late feels catastrophic, plan for every possible thing that could go wrong before it does, or find yourself unable to relax until every detail is locked down, that's not conscientiousness. That's your brain trying to control its environment to reduce the feeling of threat. The preparation feels productive. It feels responsible. But if removing it would cause genuine distress, not mild discomfort, genuine distress, that's a signal worth noticing. Fourth, you struggle to say no. Saying no feels dangerous. Not inconvenient, like it might damage the relationship, disappoint someone irreparably, or make them think less of you. So you say yes to the extra project, the favor, the social event you don't have the energy for, and the commitment that stretches you past your limit. And then you resent it quietly, and then you feel guilty for resenting it. And then you work yourself into the ground delivering on it because now that you've said yes, you can't let them down. This pattern, people-pleasing driven by anxiety rather than genuine generosity, is one of the most draining features of high-functioning anxiety. And it's invisible to everyone around you, because from the outside you just look helpful and reliable. Fifth, you feel like you're waiting for something to go wrong. Things are going well, and somehow that makes you more anxious, not less. Because when things are good, there's more to lose. The anxious brain interprets calm as the quiet before the storm. If nothing is wrong right now, something, must be about to go wrong. You can't fully enjoy the good moments because part of you is always braced for impact. Psychologists call this anticipatory anxiety, and it's one of the cruelest features of the pattern. It doesn't just make the bad times hard, it makes the good times hard too. You're never fully present in either. Sixth, your productivity is driven by fear, not passion. You get a lot done. People admire your work ethic. You might even admire it yourself. But here's the question worth sitting with. Why are you doing it? Is it because you love it? Because it's meaningful? Because it genuinely energizes you? Or is it because stopping feels unsafe? Because if you slow down, the anxiety catches up. Because you're running from the feeling of not being enough? There's a fundamental difference between doing things because you want to and doing things because your nervous system won't let you rest. Both can produce impressive results. Only one is sustainable. And only one actually feels good while you're doing it. Sign 7. You're exhausted, but can't explain why. You sleep. You're not overworking by any obvious measure. You take breaks. And yet there's a tiredness that doesn't lift. A heaviness that's hard to explain to people who don't feel it. That's because anxiety is physically exhausting. Your nervous system running in low-level threat mode all day, heart rate slightly elevated, muscles slightly tense, mind slightly on alert, burns through energy the same way a computer running too many background processes drains its battery. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just tired from carrying something heavy for a very long time. Something most people around you can't see, because you've gotten so good at making it invisible. If several of those signs landed, if you found yourself thinking, "That's me," more than once, I want to offer you something. Not a diagnosis, not a label to carry around, just a reframe. The traits that come with high-functioning anxiety, the diligence, the preparation, the reliability, the care for others, the drive, these are genuinely valuable. They've probably served you well in a lot of ways. The goal isn't to get rid of them. The goal is to disentangle them from fear, to keep the conscientiousness but lose the dread, to stay productive but stop running, to care about people without needing their constant reassurance that you're okay. That shift doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with recognizing the pattern. And you just did that. 3 things that actually help, not quick fixes, but genuine starting points. When you notice the overthinking, the reassurance seeking, the inability to rest, name it out loud or in writing. This is anxiety. This is my nervous system doing what it does. Naming it activates your prefrontal cortex and reduces the emotional intensity of the feeling. It creates a tiny bit of distance between you and the pattern. That distance is where choice lives. Practice tolerating uncertainty in small doses. High-functioning anxiety is fundamentally a low tolerance for uncertainty. Everything, the over-preparation, the reassurance-seeking, the control, is an attempt to eliminate it. But uncertainty can't be eliminated. It can only be tolerated. Start small. Send the message without rereading it 5 times. Leave one thing unplanned. Don't check in a second time. Each small act of tolerating uncertainty builds the muscle for handling it. Talk to someone. Seriously. High-functioning anxiety responds extremely well to therapy, specifically cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy. Not because you're broken, but because these approaches give you practical tools for working with the pattern rather than just managing it forever. If therapy feels like too much, even talking honestly to one trusted person about what you experience internally can start to shift the weight of carrying it alone. You've probably been fine for a long time. You can keep being fine, but you don't have to settle for just fine. High-functioning anxiety is exhausting precisely because it's invisible. You carry it quietly, you manage it impressively, and nobody around you knows the half of it. But you know. And now you have a clearer picture of what you're actually dealing with. That clarity matters, because you can't work with something you can't see. If this resonated, share it with someone you think might need to hear it. The person who always seems fine. Because they might be watching this right now.